So for defined benefit plans, what are the pension obligations that the companies and the employers will face? That's what we're going to look at. You're going to hear abbreviations ABO, VBO, and PBO. But first, to review a defined benefit plan, there's a tremendous amount of risk for the employer to maintain the funded amount during economic downturns. And we saw this in recent years during the financial crisis. The fund amounts are to cover future pension payments, and they need to be invested with the hope of a strong continued growth over time. So it is very complicated accounting. This is just going to be an introduction to the concept of pensions. For accounting purposes, gains or losses will change pension obligation to lower or higher than expected. Now, what are the key pension elements? The employer's obligation. They need to fund the plan assets. And then there's recording of periodic pension expense. So first, what are the obligations? Well, the ABO, that's what's accumulated to date. The VBO, that's what has been vested, the vested benefit obligation, what the employee has vested. And the PBO is the projected benefit obligation. So this is just 3 ways to calculate the obligation. We're going to focus on the PBO. The accumulated first, the benefit obligation, that's the actuary's estimate of the total retirement benefits earned so far. These are at existing compensation levels. So it's a little easier to calculate because you know what those compensation levels are. Vested, this is the portion of the accumulated benefit obligation that the participants, the employees, or retired employees, are entitled to receive regardless of continued employment. Most plans do vest fully after 5 years. The projected benefit obligation. This is different because you're looking at what's earned so far plus estimated future compensations. And you may not know what you will be paying them 10 years from now because that's many raises or many periods when they could have had raises over that time. So it's a more difficult estimate to make. What goes into the obligation? Service cost, current. So service is the work your employees are doing this accounting period. Prior service cost, this goes back prior years. Let's say you made a change to your plan and you made the change retroactive to your employees because you want to keep them happy to prior years. Those are the prior service costs. There's interest costs. This is just time value of money, how your investments or the amount has changed. The obligation has changed due to the time value of money. Actuarial losses and gains on the PBO. It's not usually the accountant in a business that will handle these estimates. They will hire or outsource to an actuary who is a professional in making these estimates. Retiree benefit payments, so if you've paid out, your obligation goes down. Service cost. Okay, this is an increase in employer's obligation from actual work performed throughout the year. It increases your obligation and the pension expense. Prior service costs. These are retroactive changes in benefits. So the best way to understand this is to look at an example. So let's say in 2001, M. Peterson began a new job. 10 years later, in 2011, the company then decided to implement a pension plan because they'd grown. They had the retained earnings where they could offer this. All employees are to receive credit for all years of service, even years prior to inception of the plan. So the started the job in 2001, they did not have a pension. 2011, they did. So going backwards, because the employer wants to grant this pension award as to the beginning hire date, they're going to backdate it. That is your prior service cost. Current service costs are for this period only. Now let's say another 10 years goes by, it's 2021. The plan is amended to increase the amount of benefits earned each year to be applied retroactively to the day the employee began working for the company. So you can see on the timeline what are prior service costs and what are the current service costs. Interest costs, this is the time value of money. You'll be given a discount rate. The value will increase over time due to interest. The actuarial losses and gains, these are estimate changes that the actuary makes from year to year. And retiree benefits payments will decrease your obligation because you paid it. So again, to summarize the pension plan obligations, what goes into it. Then we'll look at the pension expense in a different video.